Some piece of equipment uses a specialized tool. We tried to go through and identify those areas and actually make tool holders for that specialized tool and hang it right there by that piece of equipment. That way, every time they get ready to use it, it's right there. They don't have to go looking for it. They don't waste time, and it really speeds up changeover.
Well, before we had our tool boards, basically the tools that we use, they were in drawers or bins or toolboxes, and every time you needed to use them, you had to go searching because everybody put them in a different place each time, so it was always a lot of fun trying to find out where they were. And now, basically, we have everything labeled, so hopefully it gets put back in the same place every time. And it's also at arm's length, so when you need it, it's there. No downtime having to search for a tool.
Well, the tool board was done because everything was a mess. We had everything in our toolboxes, just bunched together. Nothing was organized. You know, you'd have to search for 5 minutes to find something. You know, if you're going to get a center like one of these, you would have to search and keep, you know, putting it into the thing and your center of your blade and trying to find it. And you'd be there for 20 minutes wasting time. So we decided to do this to try to say, okay, well, there's my center I need, and go ahead and grab it.
In the previous tape, you learned how to sort through and sort out using the red tag technique. After red tagging, you are ready to apply the second S, set in order. The full meaning of the phrase set in order is to decide and organize where to keep necessary items. Organize how to keep them. Make it easy for anyone to find and use them. Make it obvious when they are not in their correct place. The guiding principle is a place for everything and everything in its place. Most factories have some amount of disorderliness, and most people who work there are so used to it that they don't notice. For example, when aisleways are not well defined, they can be dangerous. Items will be left where people can trip over them, and carts and forklifts can run into items, equipment, or people. Poorly managed equipment with wires and hoses can also be dangerous, as can chemicals stored in a disorderly or haphazard way, or scrap handled or stored improperly. Factories also have more than their share of searching time. In your everyday operations, you usually have to search for things, whether it's a tool, an instruction manual, or a broom. Searching wastes time, and it's frustrating. Setting things in order is not a difficult concept to learn. In fact, there are hundreds of examples in everyday life. Parking lots are a good example. By using clearly defined entrances and exits and following lines that show where and how to park, drivers can park in an orderly way, almost without thinking about it. Highways are another good example. Painted lines show drivers when they must stay in their lanes and when it's all right to pass. They also show where the edge of the road is. Highways also use signs to give information or tell what the rules are. The second S, set in order, uses the same methods to make the workplace easier and safer to work in. Now it's time to learn how to set in order. Set in order has 4 main steps. Analyze the current situation. Target issues to improve. Decide where things belong and how they should be kept, and put them there. Make it obvious where things belong. The first step in set in order is to analyze the current situation. You do this by reviewing the workplace scan display, which shows the initial conditions observed by the team. Review the area map and see whether anything changed during your red tagging activity. If necessary, take additional photos from the same locations as your original before photos. Post these on the workplace scan display. You should also review the diagnostic checklist to see where your orderliness weaknesses are. The second step in setting in order is to target the issues to improve. Use the Set in Order inspection sheet in the participant's guide to perform this task. In prioritizing your targets, look first at the positions of large items such as machines, large equipment, and workbenches. Then consider storage spaces such as shelves, racks, and inventory pallets. At the same time, think about the location of inventory, parts, and other supplies. Next, consider smaller equipment such as carts, chairs, or bins. And finally, consider small tools and supplies, including the contents of cabinets and drawers. While you're performing the first two steps of Set in Order, you should be looking for places where there is a lack of flow, where work in process is delayed, where people, materials, and machines are in each other's way, or where movement isn't smooth. Then you'll know that you have a Set in Order problem. Now it's time to decide where and how things should be located and to put them there. There are 4 guidelines in determining where and how items should be located. The first is that the more often an item is used, the closer it should be to where it is used. The second guideline for determining where and how things should be set in order is that every item should have a designated location and should be labeled with that location. The label may even specify the shelf or drawer where the item belongs. The location should also be labeled so that it's clear where the item should go. The third Set in Order guideline is to make everything easy to get or put away properly. Keep safety in mind. Consider improvements that will prevent strain and other injuries. For example, surfaces can be slanted slightly so that items can be reached and put away easily. Also, items can be stored on open shelves for easy access. The fourth guideline is to get items off the floor whenever possible. Clear floors are easier and safer to move around on, and also easier to clean. The final step of Set in Order, and perhaps the most important one, is to make sure it's obvious to everyone where and how everything belongs. It is in this step that you begin to make your workplace visual. There are 3 visual techniques that help make it obvious where things should be located. They are lines, labels, and signboards. As you apply these techniques, be sure to test how they work before you make them permanent. The line technique includes several types of line markings for the workplace. The first type of line to create is a divider line. Divider lines mark off aisleways from operation areas, rest areas, and other areas used by people. They also separate different areas from each other. Marker lines are used to show the location for equipment, inventory, and other items. Marker lines can be used on the floor, on tables, and even on shelves. Another type of line is a range line. This shows the range of operation of doors and equipment. Dashed lines are often used. Range lines can be a major factor in reducing safety hazards. Limit lines are used to show height, maximum and minimum quantity, and other types of limits related to inventory, materials, equipment, and other items stored in the workplace. Tiger marks or tape are usually used to draw attention to safety hazards or to maintain clear space for safety equipment. To show the shape and location of tools and equipment, you can use outlines or shadows. Arrows are a special kind of line that can show direction of travel or flow of gas or fluids. The label technique is an important aid for setting things in order. Labels can be used to show not only the name of an item, but also the item's location for storage. Then, if an item is misplaced, it will be easy to put it where it belongs by matching its location label with the label on the shelf or cabinet, etc. You can use color coding for this as well. The signboard technique is perhaps the most widely used method for setting things in order. For example, location signboards show the location of areas, processes, functions, or equipment. Inventory signboards show the location, type, and quantity of inventory. Machine signboards can display the name of the equipment and its operator, or give information to assist those who clean and maintain it. There are a few points to keep in mind when you use lines, labels, and signboards to set things in order. First, always understand your audience. Consider the language they speak. Consider where they are most likely to see or read the visual indicator. Next, remember to keep things simple. If something can't be understood easily, it's not likely to be adhered to. And finally, be sure to use temporary materials to test your technique before you make it permanent. For example, colored tape is a good way of trying out lines before you paint them. You will make your technique permanent during the fourth S, standardize. Now, before you begin to apply set in order, let's review the steps. Begin by analyzing the current situation. You do this by reviewing the workplace scan that you created and noting any changes you made when you applied sort. Next, use the Set in Order inspection sheet to target issues to improve. Then decide where things belong and how they should be kept, and put them there. Finally, make it visually obvious where things belong by using lines, labels, and signboards. Set in order is a major step in reducing the waste of time in your job. In addition, by cutting down on the amount of searching and movement required to do your job, you will actually perform more work with less effort. Your workplace will seem quieter and less hectic, and it should be a more enjoyable place to work. Set in Order really does put a new spin on the old saying, a place for everything and everything in its place.
Support your 5S application with these additional resources. From Teletrain, Total Productive Maintenance, a 4-part video series appropriate for all levels of your organization. For more information, call 1-800-251-6018. From Productivity, 5 Pillars of the Visual Workplace, a comprehensive source book with dozens of examples of 5S implementation for the shop floor and office. 5S for Operators, an illustrated, easy-to-read introduction to the 5S system, developed specifically for shop floor employees. 5S for Operators Learning Package includes books, overheads, color slides, and facilitation guide for leading a learning group based on 5S for Operators. Training and consulting on 5S and the visual workplace from the Productivity Consulting Group. For more information, call 1-800-394-6868 or 1-800-966-5423.